Hey there and welcome back to another Marvel video. And recently we saw the release of the latest installment of the MCU and the newest entry into the Doctor Strange franchise, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And stop here if you haven't seen it and care about getting spoiled, because here there be spoilers. So obviously, this film follows the character of Dr. Stephen Strange, a world-class surgeon who, after an accident, was forced to turn to pseudoscientific magic to try and cure his affliction and allow him to work again. And luckily for him, it turns out that it's not pseudoscience at all, and there's a whole order of magic wielders existing right under the noses of the entire world. He quickly establishes himself as one of the top dogs of the order and defeats another evil wizard, whilst making another important wizard, Mordo, his enemy. He joins up with the Avengers, fights Thanos, dies, comes back, and then we come to Spider-Man No Way Home, where their spell accidentally busts a hole in the multiverse, and they fix it at the cost of people's memory of Peter Parker. And so, this is where we are at the start of Multiverse of Madness. Sometime during 2025, I guess, with Stephen going about his everyday life as one of the mystical defenders of the planet. And this is where the plot really kicks off. After attending his ex-girlfriend's wedding, Strange, and Wong, his wizard friend and the new Sorcerer Supreme since Strange got dusted, find themselves facing off against a giant one-eyed octopus eldritch monster that's one of the most disgusting and freakish creatures that's ever featured in a Marvel film. Ugh. Everything about that freak haunts my dreams. It's the kind of thing that makes you want to check under your bed before you go to sleep, just in case. But anyway, it turns out the monster's trying to capture a girl called America Chavez, who is conveniently able to travel the multiverse, and is in fact the only version of her in the entire multiverse. Sensing that there are magical shenanigans afoot, Strange goes to a trusted ally, Wanda Maximoff, who he thinks will be able to help him with the demons that are chasing this girl across the multiverse, but psych! Turns out she is the villain of the film, and that she's been corrupted by the Darkhold and her desire to reunite with her sons Billy and Tommy, and that she has in fact been sending the demons after this girl all along, and now Strange has told her where he's hiding her. Oopsie. Wanda then massacres the sorcerers of Kamar-Taj, before Chavez gets her and Stephen out of there by falling through numerous different realities and crash landing on Earth 838, whilst Wanda chases after them via dreamwalking into her alternate reality self. At this point, Stephen then gets arrested by the Illuminati, a group of powerful heroes of this Earth who consist of Black Bolt, Mordo, Professor X, Mr. Fantastic, Captain Marvel, and Captain Carter. And after revealing that Stephen Strange in any universe is a risk to the multiverse, they're about to sentence him to death before Wanda arrives and they go to face her, leaving Mordo alone with Stephen. Wanda slaughters the Illuminati in epic fashion, and Stephen beats up Mordo, and alongside an alternate version of Christine, manages to save America as Wanda pursues them. They find the Book of Vishanti, which they think they can use to defeat Wanda, but she destroys it, and then Wanda uses America to send Christine and Stephen to another universe that's been destroyed by an incursion. So, a death sentence, but also not really a death sentence. Why didn't she just straight up kill them? They were at her mercy. Oh well. Let's move on. Stephen's forced to fight and kill an alternate version of himself in a musical battle in order to get the Darkhold, with which he can possess the corpse of another version of himself who'd been killed by the demons earlier and fell through the initial portal with America. Alongside Wong, Strange battles Wanda and eventually America. Knowing that they can't win, portals Wanda to her children who are frightened and repulsed by her. And this causes her to repent and destroy all the copies of the Darkhold across the multiverse and apparently kill herself too. Although, yeah, sure buddy. And meanwhile, Stephen, America, and Wong all live happily ever after. Until a new sorceress arrives, telling Stephen that he's caused an incursion in another universe and he has to come with her, setting up future stories. And yeah, on paper this actually sounds like a fairly decent movie. And in all honesty, it was. It was decent. It was pretty good. Just, I don't think it was great. And it was the first Marvel film in quite a while that sort of under-delivered on my expectations. And maybe that's my fault, but for the most part, I feel like this film was a whole lot of style and not a lot of substance. I mean, visually, the film's a masterpiece, as is typical for the more cosmic side of the MCU. They really go hard on making the visual experience rich and rewarding. It never looks dull or repetitive, and there's always something to catch your eye, and this was especially true in this film, where they had to make numerous different worlds for Strange and America to visit that all needed to feel visually distinct from each other. And they succeeded on this front in leaps and bounds. I mean, there's one sequence where Strange and Chavez are falling through universe after universe, and it's so beautiful. All the transitions between the universes were so smooth. Hell, there's even one where they become paint. And that was pretty awesome. But I think where the film begins to falter is in its script and story. I just don't think they quite deliver on what the film could have been from a narrative perspective. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm saying it's bad. In fact, there are a lot of plot points and story threads and moments that I think worked quite well. And in all honesty, the actual overall story is very solid and has a lot of potential. It's just the little things that sort of let down the story. For one, I feel like the multiverse was just misused. Yes, the worlds looked cool and they provided a lot of visual diversity, but they never really impacted the overall story that much, despite the film being titled Multiverse of Madness. The drama was all on Earth 616. The villain was from Earth 616, and the majority of the multiverse characters were just there for flavor. Hell, the Illuminati subplot was just there to make Wanda look strong. It never impacted the overall narrative. They didn't do anything other than die. It was just a way to develop the character of Steven and give him incentives to do things by telling him, oh, you were bad in this timeline. And thus, he could find a way to ultimately defeat Wanda by trusting someone else. Honestly, I feel like Spider-Man No Way Home and Into the Spider-Verse are better examples of using the multiverse to actually shape the story and the narrative. You don't need to see a whole lot of different worlds, but the worlds and the characters that you see from those worlds need to be well developed and have a proper impact on the story, as opposed to feeling like they're simply part of the scenery. But on the other hand, the characters from Earth 616, especially Steven and Wanda, really shine. Wanda's whole story in the film's great. Her personality switching from kindly, friendly, retired Avenger to crazy mama bear was quite funny, and I liked that she'd become so unhinged. The way she behaved did make sense. She just wanted her sons back. She has the power to dominate and rule, but that's not in her character. It's not what she wants. She wants her happy ending. She doesn't want to hurt anybody, but she acts in a way that her mind rationalizes as reasonable, trying to minimize casualties before sacrificing America for the greater good in her mind. She isn't just some heartless butcher. She kills the sorcerers because they stand in her way, and she gives them many chances to surrender. Same deal with the Illuminati. It's not like she's hunting them down. She just wants the kid, and if they'd simply stepped aside, she wouldn't hurt them. She delves into all this dark magic, and really, she sacrifices everything so that she can have the life she feels she deserves. Only for it to all come crumbling down, and for her to realize that she's become a monster that her children no longer recognize as their mother. Oof, that's rough. And so seemingly, she sacrifices her life to try and redeem herself. And if she's actually legitimately dead and gone forever, then this has got to be the saddest arc in the MCU, bar none. Her parents were blown up, brother killed by Ultron, falls in love with living android, forced to kill him to save the universe. Succeed, time reversed, but she still remembers. His head is ripped in two by a big purple alien. She gets snapped to death. She comes back to life and everybody's back too, except her android love interest who's still dead. Damn. So she makes a fake reality to live with him and create two little kids, and the illusion's so powerful that it even tricks her. Then she has to sacrifice it to free the people she's enslaved. Then she finally gets her hands on the Darkhold, a book that might help her get back what she's lost, but it drives her crazy and leads to her disgrace and death. Damn. But surely she isn't dead though. She'll be back. I feel like there's more they can use her character for. It would be a waste to kill her off so soon. And really, on that note, Wanda probably is the best thing about the film. Elizabeth Olsen's acting was on point. She was equal parts heartbreaking and frightening. And I didn't expect the film to suddenly become a horror movie, but I was there for it. She played her part to perfection. Same with Steven. He was her perfect foil, and his character got a lot of interesting development centering around the need for him to move on with his life after the marriage of his former love interest Christine, who it seems he's destined to never ever be with in any universe whatsoever, which did give me a good giggle. The film definitely felt like a bit of a farewell for the two, and that's fine by me. But I also couldn't help but think that it consumed a little too much of the story for a character who we are likely never going to see again in any meaningful way, especially since she didn't really do anything to push the story forward, and she didn't in the first film either, so she didn't need this long goodbye. So in the end, I think it did drag Steven's story down just a little bit for me. But ultimately, it's his interactions and relationship with America, whom he forms a pseudo father-daughter bond that's reminiscent of Tony Stark and Peter Parker, that really made his arc meaningful and pushed his character away from being the pragmatic and closed-off man that we saw in Infinity War. It feels like they tested the water with him and Peter in No Way Home, and then they really solidified him as this kind and yet snarky mentor. I really loved their bond and how she grew to care about him and he grew to care about her, to the point that she was going to let him take her power, which would kill her, simply so that he would have a chance to win and survive, and how he in turn makes her believe in herself enough to eventually defeat Wanda, or at least enough to make Wanda realize how far she'd fallen. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that relationship develops in future films. But beyond those two major arcs that sort of anchor the story, there were just minor things that added up that grated on my enjoyment. First up, there were too many characters that didn't get enough spotlight. The Illuminati felt wasted to me. Same with Evil Strange, and especially Mordo. Ugh, Mordo, what the hell happened to original Mordo? Will they ever finish his story? Is he dead? I don't remember that. Is he perpetually wandering the world hunting minor sorcerers? And speaking of sorcerers, Wong gives up the location of the Evil Mountain Temple to save some random wizards. And yet he's perfectly willing to sacrifice this child to defeat Scarlet Witch. What the hell, Wong? Also, how did he even survive that massive fall? He couldn't properly use his magic. Wouldn't he be a splatter? I mean, he cracked his head on the rocks. What? Ugh. It's just those little things that wear at you. Because ultimately, the core of the story is great. And the visuals are great. And the score is great. And it sets up a lot of new interesting stories for sequels and other characters. But ultimately, what drags it down is the little things, and all of them revolve around the story, which prevent it from being as good as it could have been. I mean, it's as simple as, why the hell did nobody in story ever check on Wanda after Westview? I mean, that's in 2023, right? This is meant to be set in 2025. Are you kidding me that Wong and Strange never thought to visit Wanda once to make sure she hadn't, I don't know, snapped again? Didn't she have like a mental relationship with Hawkeye? Does he just suddenly not give a shit about her? Do none of her friends care? Damn. Also, her actions here felt a little bit inconsistent with her character at the end of WandaVision, you know, where she had to let it all go. Then suddenly in the post-credit scene she has the book, okay, so I was thinking anti-hero maybe. But nope, full villain. Oh well. But anyway, that's all I really have to say about the movie. I like it, but I think it could have been better. But as always, these are just my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the film if you've seen it? You like it, hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.